What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome into NYJ today. I am John. I got Chad with me. I got James with me. Mike, he's a little busy at work. The man works for the government. He's got a government job, and so he's just a busy guy tonight. But anyway, leave some messages for him, and I'll be sure to share them with him. It could be insults, anything you want to pass along. It's good to see you, Steven, in the chat. So we got a lot going on tonight. There's a lot to discuss, excuse me. And a lot of it has to do with, Zach Wilson. I think, for obvious reasons, we were all very, very excited, based on what we saw. We're going to take a look at his film in a little bit. And also going to discuss something that's kind of burning on my mind, the fact that they are considering playing him on Friday, and we'll kind of gauge how everybody's feeling about that, because Robert Saleh has talked about it and how he has said he potentially might play a half, which I think might be a little bit too much. So we'll talk a little bit about it. Stephen Angle says the O-line sucks in practice, play better in actual games, and that is true. That has been the trend, that they struggle in practice, or maybe aren't perfect in practice, and then during the games they're fine. Let's see. Braden says, "Hi, Steven. Looks more like a positive outlook today with Q and AVT." Yes, they are both practicing, and I think Elijah Moore is back at practice too, which, early on in camp he was stealing the show. Chad, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. I don't know what's going on with Mike, but it sucks, but I'm glad to be here with you guys on a Wednesday night. I can talk Jets anytime.
Yep, absolutely. James, how you feeling tonight, man?
Good, feeling good. I haven't seen Chad in a while, so I'm happy to see him again, and it's always fun to be on. So
yep,
let's do this. Yeah,
absolutely. Grant Reed, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Hope all is well with you as well. Hader Ali, what up, John? Gentlemen, Jets fam, looking forward to opinions regarding the state of the Jets. We have a bunch, and we have some interesting topics tonight. It almost feels like an off-season list of topics. It kind of feels like that. I don't know why, but it just gives me that vibe. Vern, what's up, man? Good to see you. Bruh XRP says, killing my NFL draft tonight. We'll be listening to you guys. I appreciate that. That means a lot. I've got my draft on September 5th. So we wait till the very last, couple of days before the draft, or excuse me, before the season kicks off.
What pick do you have?
It's an auction. It's an auction league.
Oh, okay.
So it's only the wisest football fan is in an auction league. So no, I don't. No, it's all based on how much you want to spend on a player.
Okay.
Which comment are we talking about? Oh, you work for the government? Yeah, sure you do. I see you. I got you, and I'll share that with Mike. I'll let him know. Maybe he'll hit you up. Vern, I would love to do a money league, but again, I haven't. It's kind of hard to coordinate that, through a stream. I don't know how else to really coordinate it. I'm thinking maybe next season will be the kickoff, the annual kickoff for the NYJ Today Fantasy Football League. Maybe not this year though. Justin Jets. We'll get to our mailbag after this comment. He says, "How long does concussion protocol typically last?" Let's let Chad go first, because he has not been on the Wednesday pod in a while. What do you think, Chad? A typical concussion protocol, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I know that they work in like stages, and it depends on their evaluation. And if it's determined that there's an NFL or there's a concussion in an NFL game, then they have to come out of the game. But that being said, I don't know what the protocol is in a practice situation. Obviously, we're talking about Becton. He left practice with the head injury. As far as all the reports I read, he didn't come back. So, and I don't know if he was out there today either. So I'm guessing it could last for a few days. And I didn't want him in the Eagles game anyway. So I'm okay to wrap him up and hopefully see him in Carolina.
Yeah. And I will just add in my 2 cents. Typically, with a concussion, it can just vary. It can vary drastically depending on the severity. So if it's just, a low grade, I mean, I don't know the proper terminology, but if it's a low grade concussion, can miss just a couple of days, a week at the most, and back in it. But if it's a really significant concussion, then it's no joke. It can be an ongoing issue. If he gets hit again, it might drum it back up. So no way of knowing. Gotta hope that it's not too serious. I remember last week's podcast when John called Mike a piece of shit 2 times and we had a better pass rush depth. Those were good times. That's my dear friend. I am just completely smack talking him when anything I say to him, it's all love and smack talk with him. Anyways, we'll go ahead to our first mailbag. Again, guys, if you are in the chat right now, I am on social media, NYJ Today. I'm on Twitter and I can't talk tonight. Instagram as well. So if you're on those social media platforms, make sure you're following me. I do post the mailbag on Monday morning. And then that way your questions can get read. This is kind of the way we're going to be doing things from here on out. We'll do a couple of mailbag questions every Wednesday, and then we'll get into our show. So first one is going to be from, let me make sure I read this correctly, 00 Jets, who is a big guy I follow on Twitter. And it's not a question, it's a take. And he says, Zach Wilson breaks Herbert's rookie passing touchdown record. Quick thoughts, James, on this take that he has here.
Possible. What's it? Maybe 28. I think it's high 20s. But we have an extra game, so that helps. Sorry if you guys can hear my dog, but it'll stop in just a second, I promise. Yep. I mean, I think it's possible with the extra game, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. That's my take.
I agree. I think it's a little bit, hopeful and wishful thinking, which he typically is, and I have no hate for anybody like that. I will throw in Baker. Didn't Baker just break it not too long ago before Herbert? So
yeah.
Yep. So it's not me pointing that out doesn't mean like, oh, it's definitely going to happen this year or next year. It's just maybe in the next 10 years or so we see rookie records, specifically passing ones, break. Again, I don't predict that Zach Wilson will break the record, but maybe with that additional game, like you pointed out, James, maybe we see some records, not just throwing, rushing, receiving, that kind of stuff. Maybe we see some records break. So I don't hate your take, and thank you again for the mailbag. We'll go to the second one. This is a pertinent one for our New York Jets. This is from Eric Donald Polk. He says, with Davis out until week 6, which, by the way, totally sucks, who's our starting linebacking core? He says, Mosley, middle linebacker, Sherwood, Mike, who's the Will? He also throws in, and since Lawson's injury broke everyone's heart, who now becomes our sack leader for the season? He says he's going to take Jonathan Franklin Myers with 10. So it's a double-edged sword. He's got 2 questions here. Chad, why don't you take the first one, and then James, you'll get the second one. What do you foresee for the linebackers week 1, Chad? You don't have to predict beyond that, but who do you think is going to start those 3 spots?
I mean, yeah, no, it's going to be C.J. Mosley in the middle. Jamie Sherwood, who we got to give a shout out because we got a retweet over here.
There it is.
From him. And then I think it's going to be a rotation. I mean, probably Blake Cashman is going to be starting, and then he'll probably get subbed out. But by the way, if Franklin Myers gets 10 sacks, sign me up for that.
Oh God, yeah. Who's your sack leader for the season, James?
With Lawson out, it'll be Quinnen Williams.
I would agree with that. We'll talk a little bit about the pass rush, not too much tonight, but we'll talk a little bit about it because I'm not concerned. I don't want to say I'm concerned, but there's something that I want to talk about specifically with our pass rushers. Nathan German Shepherd. Daniel Roberts is throwing out all the good nicknames tonight. What's the Jets' rookie touchdown record? Start there and hope he grows along the way. I think that's a fair take. maybe not the NFL rookie record, but if he broke the Jets rookie single season touchdown record, that would be a hell of a thing, man. That would be great. I agree. Let's see. Johnny Jets throws in Dawkins and Nasruddin are fighting for that starting spot. I think it's definitely going to be a rotation a little bit. There's not going to be any one of those linebackers other than Mosley that's an every down kind of guy. I think Sherwood's going to get playing time. I think Nasruddin's going to get playing time. I actually liked what I've seen from Blake Cashman in the preseason. I thought he's not been too bad, actually. So I like to see all three of those young guys play. And Dawkins is playing. And I also I took note of another dude.
Is it Eifler?
Eifler? Yeah, he's been.
I couldn't. Yeah, he's been good.
He's been getting in the mix, and he led the team in tackles this past week. So there's a chance that he ends up, making the roster unless they make a move before the season, which could happen. They may replace these two guys that we don't know a lot about with cuts coming up. All right, Jets rookie record, quarterback touchdown record is probably 4. He might mean in a single game. I think he may be just kidding though, which I think that's how I read that.
Yeah.
Okay, mailbag number 3. We will go to that one right now. Thank you again. I think it was Eric. Yep, thank you again, Eric. This is from Steve, and he says, if the Jets trade any of their draft capital to try and fix some of the holes and injuries that they've seen, I'll scream bloody murder. This season is about nothing else but preparing for the future. Play the kids and draft well next year. James, you going first on this one. Thoughts on trading for anybody?
Right. Yeah, so trading for anybody, or specifically, I guess, an edge rusher, I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence for, I guess, 2 reasons. 2 things keep me on the fence is, one, the defense kind of needs an edge rusher schematically. And I think it would give us a better chance to evaluate the back end. But then also, I don't want to give up a ton of draft capital to draft somebody. To trade for somebody and then leave us bare come the draft, because we're probably going to get a full offseason in terms of evaluating and scouting. So it's going to give them a better opportunity with all those picks to really get some value players. And I don't think Joe Douglas would essentially give up the farm for somebody. So I'm on the fence because I think we need help. But I think maybe we can find it either trading less valuable assets or picking somebody up that's been cut, or free agency, in terms of who might be still out there, some veteran guys to just help out depth-wise, but not give away what we've accumulated over the last couple of years here.
Fair enough. I like the take. Chad, any thoughts on potential trades for players to fill injury holes?
It's hard because this is a logical argument, but it's also an emotional argument. Because we all kept telling ourselves, it's like how when we're gonna lose a game, like there's no way we're gonna win, and then like 5 minutes before the game, something tells you, you're like, hey, you know what? Maybe we have a chance here. And it's kind of like that. Like, we've been talking off seasons, like, oh, you know what? This is probably a 4-win to 7-win team at most. But then what do we all do, right? We get all excited. We're reading all the reports. Carl Lawson's going crazy. Zach Wilson looks like he could actually be something for us, which is amazing. And now we're like, wait a minute, can we compete this season? And then we get the devastating, crushing news about Lawson. So now, and then Vinny Curry goes out today or yesterday for the season. And now it's like, wow. And then I'm watching our defense get gashed, just absolutely gashed by Green Bay the other day. So all that added up. Now I'm like, you know what? Maybe we could make a move here. Maybe it's not the worst thing in the world. But you know what? Much like James was saying, I just don't want to give up the farm for it. I'm still like waking up every morning, checking Twitter, expecting to see that Derek Barnett deal get made. It makes all the sense in the world. Where he can literally just stay. He can stay in New Jersey, or he could, he could just stay in East Rutherford when the Eagles pack up and leave on Friday night or whatever. Like, the connections are there. It makes all the sense in the world. He's losing playing time to Josh Sweat. I would like to see a trade like that happen because I don't think they'd give up significant capital for it.
Very well said from both of you. Grant Rude does throw in a good comment. I tend to agree with what he's saying, and it kind of echoes what you were saying, Chad. He says, I would like to see a young upside defensive end come in this year, pay a little draft capital for a player that could potentially be on the roster for 3 to 5 years. Lawson may not be the same next year. And it's fair to say that. I think it might take him time because this is a pretty serious injury, guys. The Achilles heel is a really, really tough one to come back from. There's nothing saying that he can't come back and be impactful, but I think Grant Rude's throwing in a pretty good comment because it could take him some time, and he probably won't be the same right away. And I do agree, giving up some is okay. It's kind of like if you're a hoarder, you can give up. You can afford to give up some of your stuff. Joe Douglas is the hoarder of all of our draft picks. I think it's okay if he gets rid of some to bring in a guy who, again, has a little bit of like a potential to be here long term. Doesn't need to be 3 to 5 years, but even if it was 2 to 3 years, I still think that could be worth it. Because again, the draft is a crapshoot, and we have a huge need right now. I believe that the edge position has gone from being a pretty good spot, pretty exciting, to now being pretty concerning to me personally. So, all right, cool. Thank you, Steve, for the mailbag. We're going to go to our fourth one. Trying to go a little faster through our mailbag so it doesn't take up an hour. This is from Blank. Oh, but on a more serious note, because he was joking with me prior to this tweet, he says Levin, Moore, and Hodge, who got cut, are battling for left guard. I've watched them a little, and Levin looks meh, while the other two had decent moments. Got an opinion on any of them to start over Feeney? I think the left guard spot belongs to GVR. Wouldn't we agree on that one? Or is that right guard? I'm sorry. Am I thinking of
That's right guard. That's right guard.
Okay.
And Hodge got released, I believe.
Yeah, yep. So I guess that's the question. Moore, who we brought in, Levin. We got Elijah Vera Tucker as well. I guess he's saying, in case he was hurt. So let's just say who would be the backup if Elijah Vera Tucker is playing? Who do you guys feel more comfortable with, Levin, Moore, or Feeney? Chad, you can go first.
I mean, by process of deduction, I'd have to say either Moore or Levin, because I had made a comment last time that I thought I didn't see anything in the actual game about Feeney being bad, but then from everything that I read and was listening to in the past few days, apparently he was actually terrible. So, and he's bad in practice too. Like he's been getting eaten alive by the Eagles in the last couple of days in practice. So, I like his personality and I like what he does for bringing the team together, but I don't want to see Feeney starting against the Panthers. God willing, the whole discussion will be a moot point, and we'll have AVT out there.
Yeah. Excuse me, James. What is your take on that? Even if it's not starting guard, maybe like the first backup, like the primary backup guard.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope maybe you can get something out of Moore. It may take some time because of how, I guess, new he is to the team. But he is a younger guy, so maybe there's some upside there. But I would have to agree with Chad that you might have to give Levin that look because I don't think Feeney's been very good. Mm-hmm. And when you're given an opportunity and you kind of play the way he has, you kind of lose the chance to take further snaps, essentially. And he was better in pass protection against Green Bay than he did play against the Giants. So that was an uptick that was good for him. But overall, I mean, if Feeney was in there against Carolina, I wouldn't be very comfortable. I'd be willing to give a chance to another guy, whether that's Levin or Moore, whoever shows up better versus Philadelphia. That'd be probably my option.
Yep. And Gumball's throwing in there. I didn't really like the Feeney signing. That's just me. I don't think you're alone on that one, Gumball. I think a lot of people were kind of confused because he wasn't very good when it was the Chargers he was with.
Yeah.
So Yeah, nobody's going to disagree with you on that one. I think we all pretty much see that one the same way. We got a question for you, James. Tommy R says, "How's Jimmy Murray doing? I haven't seen him get mushed like feet." Good question.
Yeah, Jimmy Murray. I mean, he's I guess another option there. But I mean, he's playing more so towards that end of the game. So I mean, not that it's hard to evaluate, but it's just how does he kind of hold up against some of the bigger bigger players or higher rated players that he would see if he were to start in the regular season. But yeah, hasn't looked bad. That second, third team offensive line, they've kind of run the ball decently well against the Giants, and then the Packers, the run game kind of sped up towards the end there. But yeah, so I would say okay, I guess.
Daniel Roberts is a savant. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. We need this man making T-shirts somewhere. Elijah Oliveira Tucker. We have a question in the chat, and I was kind of hoping to talk about this one later, but I'm more than happy to talk about it real quick right now. Eagle Fang says, "Hello, boys. I don't know if anyone asked or commented, came in late, but are you worried about Saleh playing Wilson in the last game of the preseason? And best wishes to Curry with his blood clot." I'll go first. I'm real concerned about that. I think that's a mistake by Saleh. When we watched the game, Chad and I did the Sunday night post game, so that was a day later. I don't know. I understand that there's things that Zach needs to continue to get better at, needs to continue to learn. I just don't know if that's the best move to have him play. In the last preseason game, where guys are fighting for their NFL lives on the Eagles roster, I mean, specifically, they're going to be trying to make a play and they're going to want to hit Zach Wilson. And they do every week. I'm not trying to change the narrative here, but without Becton, we're not going to have Becton. Without Elijah Vera Tucker, I don't think they play him. Maybe they do. I don't think they will, though. Some people are saying you can't protect Zach Wilson because eventually he's going to have to play no matter who's out there in front of him. And I do hear that logic, but to me, it's a risk you don't need to take. He's proven that he is on his way to being a very, very good quarterback, and at least has shown the competency to run the offense, to get the team lined up, no pre-snap penalties, which I've been talking about before the Giants game. That's a big indicator that he's not an idiot in the huddle and that he's not a buffoon when he's trying to, get the ball snapped. So to me, I feel like the risk far, far outweighs the potential reward and experience. I would love to hear you guys talk a little bit on why, or if you just agree with me. Chad, you can go first. What is your take on that?
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I won't belabor the point. I won't repeat anything you said, but I would add just 2 quick points on that. I mean, first of all, Saleh came out today and said that he doesn't expect Moore or AVT to play against the Eagles. So if you wanted a chance for any reason to see him in the preseason, it would have been to establish some game time chemistry with Moore. Now that's not going to happen. Second point is, if he gave you any cause for concern, whether it was, I don't know, accuracy issues, timing issues, looking nervous, whatever you want to say, between the Giants game and the Packers game, then you might say, yeah, okay, it's only 3 games, let's give him a shot. But he didn't. And I'm trying to be as fair down the line as possible. He looks great. And this is coming from a absolutely emotionally dead inside Jet fan. He looks great. So no, and he's got 17 games to go, right? So he's got 5 more games to play than he normally does. This is going to be a hell of a long season. Don't do it. This is a snake bitten franchise. Don't play him. Robert, if you're listening, Rob, look, take my advice. I know you've been in football all your life, but hey, look, I'm really good at that. So listen, I know what I'm talking about. Rob, please don't start this guy. Wait till September 12th, please. I'm begging you.
Feel free to disagree, James. No worries if you do disagree with us.
No, I completely agree. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I kind of tweeted about it today, but the risk far outweighs the reward here. Flat out, Zach's ready to go week 1 against the Panthers. We've seen what we need to see. That's it. Give him a headset, and that's it.
Yep, I agree. I think it would be. I wouldn't question Robert Saleh. That's too soon, and that's too much of a a knee jerk reaction. But I would not like the decision, and I wouldn't agree with it. I couldn't support him, even if Zach gets through the game. It's still not one that I would support. Johnny Jets agrees. He says, how do you put him out there without Becton or AVT out there? Again, if it were a regular season game, I think that they'd be playing Zach Wilson. That's just one of those punches you have to roll with, but it's the preseason. Why are we doing this that's kind of the question I ask myself. So, and Stephen Engel with a good comment. He has not officially decided this. He only said that he's considering it, and that's what Stephen Engel is saying here. He's weighing his options. I'm sorry. I believe he's talking about a different player. I apologize. To be clear here, Saleh has not officially said that Zach will definitively play, but that he is considering it. Has anyone seen AVT in practice or something? How sure are we he is a definite upgrade right now? He has no NFL experience at all. After this comment, I'll let you go. Don't worry. I know. After we get to this comment, we will go right back to our mailbag. James, I know you're ready.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% sure it's an upgrade for sure. Yeah. I just I would feel way more confident with him out there. We're talking about 2 different caliber players than what we would have there if AVT wasn't there, and what we're going to have with him when he's in that spot. So I'm 100% sure.
Yeah, I think the talent alone, of course he needs to learn. Every rookie does, but I think you got to have him out there. Thanks, Grant Rude, for agreeing with me. I appreciate that. Chad stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night, so I trust him, of course. And Chad is a trustworthy person anyway, so. Yeah, James, yes. I rarely see that fire from James. He's a calm, cool, collected guy, but I saw some blood in his eyes. All right, we'll move on. We'll get to our 5th, I believe. Let's see here. Yes, 5th one, and then we have one more after that, and we'll be all done with the mailbag. Garrett Ham, he says, I've heard the Jets could trade for a defensive end. This seems very unlike JD to trade draft capital for a big contract. Has he fooled the media again? Is JD the master of media manipulation? Let's just see if we agree. Is he genuinely interested? Is he not genuinely interested? I personally believe that he is. And he is right, though, because typically JD doesn't really let anything leak. So, James, what do you think? Is this real, genuine interest, or is it maybe something that's, a media trick?
Yeah, no, I think it's genuine because I kind of touched on it before, because of the scheme. Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh seem to have a pretty good relationship from what we know so far. And I would assume Saleh's probably trying to tell him, hey, listen, I need just a little bit of help in this spot. They've probably met and talked about the fact that Carl Lawson's going to be out, Vinny Curry's going to be gone. And so I think it's a genuine interest. And kind of the other piece is I don't know exactly what the manipulation part would be. Like why we would put that out there for no reason. Maybe it's just to get somebody to give somebody away to us for less than what they're worth. That could be it too. But I do think it's genuine.
Yeah, Chad, any opinion on that? Whether it's a genuine interest or whether he's manipulating the media?
Yeah, I don't see any upside to letting that, because we know that JD is not one. If information that's real is out there, it's because JD wanted it out there, and I don't see any upside to him like floating some rumor at this point in the season. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree. So, in terms of like trading away a star player, you wouldn't want that kind of information to leak out because you don't want people to know that you are going to ship them off. But, excuse me, in the circumstance where you're trying to get somebody in here, I think it's almost smart to let the NFL world know, like, hey, I'm in the market, and it's basically like fielding offers. That's how I read it. That's kind of my take on it. Let's see here. We will go to our last mailbag, and then I'll get to some comments, and then we'll roll into the film breakdown, which will be fun, I think.
Yeah.
Last one is a prediction, so pretty easy stuff here, and this is from Brian. Great follow on Twitter, guys. If you're on Twitter, this is a guy who has good takes and genuinely seems to know what he's talking about. Not going to say it's a rare occurrence for that on Twitter, but he's just a good dude. So Brian says a couple of predictions for the Jets this year. Zach Wilson, 3,900 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, 12 INTs. It's remarkably close to what I had said in my video prediction for Zach Wilson. Very, very close. Corey Davis, 1,100 yards, 75 receptions, 8 touchdowns. Elijah Moore, the second receiver on the team with 920, 67 catches, 5 touchdowns. Denzel Mims, 639 and 4. Chad, what's your overall impression? I'll leave this up here because I know that's hard to remember. Just anything that jumps off the screen as like too much, like he predicted way too much production or too little, anything like that.
I mean, I don't want to ruin anybody's enthusiasm here, but yeah, I mean, look, if any one of those things happens, especially this season, I mean, I'm going to be over the moon. I think from what we've seen so far with the defense, unfortunately, the offense is going to be in a lot of shootouts this year if we want to be competitive. And again, if you want to put a positive spin on it, that is going to be the positive way to look at it, because I don't think we're going to be stopping a lot of people this year, regardless of if we bring in somebody right now. So Zach is going to get a lot of chances to air out. Is he going to almost break the franchise yardage record in his rookie season? Probably not.
I think,
but I mean,
actually,
it would. Hey, sign me up.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yep.
Every time.
James, any of the stats that, again, same question, like do they too low, too high, anything that you kind of take away from it?
Yeah, no, I mean, if that's what Zach winds up with, I mean, that'd be fantastic in my opinion. Less than the INTs. I mean, 12 interceptions is probably one of the lower amounts that we've seen probably, I don't know, since like Chad Pennington played quarterback. We're always kind of high in the turnover margin. And the one I would say that I'm kind of feeling like might be actually low is the amount of catches for Corey Davis after what we've seen. I think that we may end up in like that 85 range for him.
Nice.
Based on what they're doing scheme wise and based on how much Zach Wilson is just kind of enamored with trying to get him the ball. So I think that might be actually a little bit low. So I'm going to go with like an 85 number for Corey Davis.
Can I ask James a question about Corey Davis while we're on that?
Go for it.
James, have you been surprised at what you've seen so far from Corey Davis? Because I have, and maybe I didn't know him too well, but I mean, he looks unbelievable so far. Is it surprising to you, or did you expect this?
I think it's a tad surprising. And I only say a tad because if you really think back to Corey Davis, like he's one of the best receivers in college football history. I mean, he was a top 5 pick. So, and not saying that all top 5 picks work out. Some of them don't. I mean, we see Kevin White pick 7th overall. He can't find his way in the NFL. So that, but obviously you are superiorly talented when you're picked that high. So he has the traits. And I think one of the things also was A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, Derrick Henry kind of overshadowed him a little bit in Tennessee. He almost had 1,000-yard season last year, and I think he missed either 1 or 2 games. So he was essentially a 1,000-yard receiver last year. But I am so surprised at how well it's working this fast. I think that's where the surprise comes in because I do think he's a talented player. I just think for it to be working like this over 2 games is pretty surprising in my opinion, anyways.
Do you see him matching Brandon Marshall's 2015 season?
No, no, I don't. That was something else there with Brandon Marshall. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he went over 100 catches, 1,500 yards.
It was 14.
Yeah. Yeah. About 15. I don't think it's going to be that because I don't think the system calls for that kind of production from one specific wide receiver. So I don't think so. But I think we'll get moments from him for sure that might be just as good, maybe just not what the numbers ultimately look like.
Perfect. The only thing I was going to throw in there on the predictions, I thought Elijah Moore was a little high. He could definitely be that. There's no doubt about it. So I could be dead wrong. That would be amazing. If he was close to 1,000 yards, that would be incredibly awesome. I don't know if he gets to that point, but otherwise the stats were very, very good. Thanks, Brian, for the mailbag. Y'all are blowing up this chat. I cannot keep up with y'all. Let's see here. I'm just trying to make sure I get to some good chats here. That's what I see. Tommy R is saying there's no secret. We are in need of an edge rusher. Exactly. It's not like JD's like going to try and blow smoke up people's butts and like, you know, pretend like he doesn't have a need. I think people understand that after the injury. No stats for Cole in that mailbag. Yeah, that was interesting, right? Just kind of left him hanging out there to dry. We'll see. Mims could overtake him, and again, it could be the opposite. Maybe Cole hangs on to the job all year long. We will have to wait and see. Vervain disagrees with me. He says he drafted Elijah Moore in every one of his fantasy drafts. Everybody's sleeping on him. Rick B, he says Jets need to trade for Daniel. Is it Daniel? Daniel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, I almost called him Danielle. I knew it wasn't right though. Daniel Hunter. Don't even care if it costs us a first plus. Imagine next year with Lawson and Hunter from the edge with Rankins in the middle, best D-line in the league. I do like the speed rushing ability of Daniel. Doesn't he have like an injury concern? I thought he had some sort of injury bugaboo. Does anybody know about that?
Not sure.
I thought he had something, but yeah, I would be down for it. I'm not down for giving up a first round pick though, unfortunately. Rick B, I do like where your head's at though. You're thinking let's get after the quarterback, and I'm all for that. I think I'd rather just use the pick to draft somebody as edge rusher rather than getting Daniel.
He missed all of last year with a herniated disc.
There we go. Okay, so not like a big deal, but it is a spine thing, right? That's herniated disc, spine. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, back or something like that.
Yeah, so that's what I remember. There was something. I just couldn't remember what it was specifically. All right, we've got a ton of people just chatting with each other. Josh Scott comes in. He says, watch the media try to excuse Zach's 4,000-yard rookie season. It could happen. I actually think that's a possibility. There's going to be, I think, some high-scoring games. I do believe this offense will be potentially more productive than the defense by the end of the season. So another extra game. And, hey, man, if he plays all 17, I think he's got a good shot. Let's see. Yeah, Gumball, that's how I read it. A little scary. Not career-ending or anything like that, but just a little bit concerning. And then Mike Galizia, he says, I don't know how to feel about Mims at this point. He can't stay on the field. We'll see. I think he'll be back. I think he'll be back for week 1. I think it was mostly a precautionary thing, but we'll see, man. Maybe you're right. We are going to move along here. We just finished up the mailbag. Again, send mailbags. I will be on Twitter on Monday morning. You can also DM them to me. You don't have to wait for the mailbag. Just send them my way, and I will be happy to save them for the following Wednesday podcast. And that's that. Okay, we are going to go to Wilson's film study. And so I have a special scene for that. I'm going to pause it because the game's going to go. And I need to put your lovely faces on there, so this will just take me but a second. Guys, before we start sorry, there's two of me right now. Don't worry, it'll change. Before we start the film breakdown, I want you to keep in mind that during any film review, James is going to be talking, obviously. But what I'd like you to do while he's doing this is think of questions that you have, things that you're seeing on the field that you can ask him, and we will bounce to your comments and questions. Just try to be patient as he's talking. I have to interrupt him eventually because he never stops talking. And so that's the way that's going to work. So it'll be his moment to shine. But again, feel free to load the comments. And like I said, my apologies. And I will get to them. So anyway, without further ado, James, we got the very first play of the game. Do you want me to run it? Do you want me to? Totally. Let me know.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can you can give it a run, and then we can kind of, I guess, just rewind to the start. This here, yep, this is a check down to Coleman, Tevin Coleman here, and to kind of start, I'm going to break down kind of as much as I can see with the broadcast. I mean, the NFL is kind of really screwing us over here with the all 22. But so here, Coleman, obviously a check down. So what we get at the beginning, at the top of the play, two backs out of the backfield. One of them, I think, to the left of Wilson is actually Trayvon Wesco, but I'll call him a back now because he's playing fullback. And the idea of the play here is Chris Herndon is the tight end to the right of Zach Wilson, and he's going to run a corner route up top. It's probably a vertical route. I can't see him after he gets out of the screen, but most likely it's a corner route. And then Corey Davis is also at the top of the screen as the wide receiver, and he's just going to run like a 5-yard, basically a curl, call it a stick. And he's going to look to Corey Davis first, and actually the linebacker, I'll call him the Mike. He's about right over the center. He kind of gets, actually it's the end that drops. Okay, so the end drops, and he gets kind of right in the way of Corey Davis, and nothing there. He holds on to it, looks down the field. Herndon's not around, and just drop it right off to Coleman. It's easy. What I kind of like here is he kind of pump fakes because you could see that defensive tackle puts his arm up. He pump fakes so it doesn't get knocked down, and then he has the ability to just kind of flick it like he always does on all these throws. We're kind of seeing get it to Coleman and put us in some, give us a positive play here. But one of the things from Zach that we see it on this play here, he's not forcing anything downfield, doesn't see it, throw the check down, get some positive yards, and kind of move on here to, which I believe is going to be a third down and just maybe a couple or so.
I have to say, the one thing that I saw, and this was the play that I felt the most need to speak on. Mm-hmm. Look at the ball placement on here. He threw it in front of him, which is like such a refreshing thing. That's the other thing is like, through reading, those flat passes to the running back, a lot of people, they watch that on their TVs and they say, oh, that's such an easy throw. He's only a few yards away. It's very difficult, as far as I understand, to lead a running back in the flats like that. And again, under pressure, he didn't really have his feet set. Or I guess he did. But anyway, out in front of him, I like that the ball is placed in a spot where he can run after the catch. He doesn't have to adjust to the ball. And I guess that's the point that I'm trying to make here, is that even with the pressure, still had great ball placement here so that he could get those 2-3 yards. Rather than losing, maybe 1 yard or no gain.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it kind of almost looked like Tevin Coleman wasn't all that ready for it. Like the ball wasn't coming to him. So he kind of had to stretch his arms out, but he made a great catch also. That was kind of, good on his part to make that catch. But you're right. When you're kind of throwing directly to the side of you, it is very difficult to make sure that ball is kind of right in front. But good ball placement. I mean, we're going to see that all over this, this 2-minute clip of what we got here. But yeah, you're right. It's the play that no one pays attention to. Yeah. Until Zach runs it again and tries to fit the ball in deep downfield, and he throws a pick, and everyone's like, "Well, why didn't you just throw the check down?"
Exactly.
This is why.
Before we move on to the next play, just again, would like to encourage you guys to, and please help us to hit the like button here. We got like 50 people almost in here, so hit the like button for us. Would greatly appreciate that, and I hope you're enjoying the show. Let's go to play number 2. I'll run it, and we'll move along. Oh, and Mike Galizia, he made a little comment here. Fant N. Van Roten, he's calling him Van Rotten, did a poor job. So, all right, here we go.
Yeah, this is the post route to Corey Davis. I mean, that's just right. I mean, exactly what we're looking for, right? So at the top of the play here, the Jets come out. It's actually a doubles formation here, but what we're going to have at the bottom of the screen is Crowder on the inside on the line of scrimmage, and then Corey Davis. Mm-hmm. And what they're going to run is Jamison Crowder is going to do, I'm going to call it a deep over because he doesn't exactly stick his foot in the ground and run a post, but it has that post over type of feel, the deep over, and then Corey Davis runs the post. And it's a great job by Zach because pre-snap coverage is different than post-snap coverage. And so Zach does a really good job of reading it. You can see on the screen, we have one high safety on the top left. There's actually another safety back there, and he is on the right our left hash, I guess. So there's the one safety we can see, and there's one we cannot see. And what happens is the one that we can see, so if we have two high safeties, we're thinking they both have a half, right? We're maybe thinking some kind of zone coverage, but deep halves are essentially covered in that scenario. So we may still be looking at Corey Davis on the post because we have a vacancy in the middle of the field. But what ends up happening is that safety ends up dropping down to essentially help on Crowder with the over. Now he's trying to step in front of it, and he tries to get in front. So he's man coverage and he steps in front. So now it leaves us one safety, but with the other safety starting on the other hash, he drifts towards the middle of the field. And so now he comes into the screen. And so what Zach does really well is, okay, I have the post by Corey Davis, but I'm going to need to put it before the safety and really before he gets into the middle of the field. So this has to be a very quick decision. So you can see from Zach's drop, when he takes his drop, it's 3 steps. He takes a little quick hitch, and then the ball is out immediately. And he gets it. Davis kind of goes flat, which he can do against the Giants, where it kind of looked like a dig. We were all deciding, was that a post? Was it a dig? And it's probably a decision that they make that say, okay, if there's that safety there, I'm going to throw you underneath. Don't exactly run yourself into coverage. And so here, Zach, again, 3rd down. Right. So Zach has been great on 3rd down in terms of converting for the Jets, putting them in situations where they can get a chunk play. And he's doing it really by 1, 2, 3, quick hitch, and then the ball is out. Were you guys able to catch that?
Oh, yeah.
I hope I got on time there. I tried to time up the words with what he does, but it's 1, 2, 3. He sees it over the middle of the field. Boom. He turns at that moment, at that last step, to Corey Davis and lets it go. Perfect timing. I did see from someone on Twitter, some of those blue check mark guys have the all 22 versions of some plays here and there. I don't know exactly how they get them, but he actually put this play in an all 22 version. And Chad, to kind of go back to what we were talking about with Corey Davis there, Corey Davis gets himself wide open on this play, and he does it with basically the stem of the route. And so the stem of the route is essentially the top of the route, what he decides to do before he cuts into the post. And what he does, and I wish we had it here, is he takes his left foot and he acts as though he's going to go outside, takes one more step, and then sticks it back inside to the post. And what that does is it left the corner. You can see if you keep it stopped there, that corner is on the numbers.
Yeah.
And Corey Davis started, I believe, the beginning of the play from a condensed split inside the numbers.
Yeah.
And so you could tell he doesn't take this directly middle down, vertical up the field. He kind of gets the corner on his outside shoulder, which makes this an impossible play for him to cover. And so Corey Davis, Zach Wilson, the chemistry right there, kind of off the charts for week 2 of the preseason, from a rookie to a guy who has, just been on the Jets, and obviously a new scheme for both of these guys.
Yep. I still go back to the early training camp reports that they weren't completely syncing up, and it seems like they have up. They have figured out. Frankie, thanks for the comment. It is always good analysis for sure by James. You do have a question, James, from Grant. He says, is that like a 5-yard route option? If the single high is 5 yards or less closer, cut up field, if not go flat like that?
Yeah, so if he's right. If that safety, right, let's just say, it depends, right? So if that safety is the second safety, so if we have 2 high safeties, sometimes with a 2 high safety look, the 2 safeties will be a little bit upfield, upfield a little bit. They won't get as much depth. That's probably to try to fool the quarterback, and then they get deep at the snap. But if he is closer to the line of scrimmage, you're probably going to want to flatten that route out a little bit and kind of cut, essentially across field. You make it more of the dig to try to get away, and then you probably are likely, trying to hit that dig right over the linebacker and in front of the safety. And so I wouldn't essentially call it an option route. I think it's more so they've made that decision. Once they get to the line, they probably give a look at each other. Maybe there's a hand signal, and they've communicated, because that's the other thing about wide receivers. They have to read coverage also. It's not just the quarterback. And so when they get, when they're reviewing this play, or they're installing this play in practice, there's likely, okay, we're running it this way if we get 2 high. We're running it this way if we get the 1 high safety. If it's an obvious man look, we may have a different, a different, maybe it just turns into a fade, or maybe it turns into something different. But yeah, there's some kind of communication between them in terms of how many safeties and where are they will determine where Corey Davis cuts his route off. So it's a great question.
Thank you, Grant, for the question. I put this in because I edited this little clip here, and I left it in there. The new Corey Davis, I don't know if he did that in Tennessee, but he's been doing it in the preseason. He just flips the ball so angrily. I love the emotion coming from him. So he certainly wants to be great. It seems that way, at least. Again, you're watching him play with a guy who's a rookie, who's now playing in his second preseason game. I think it means a lot to him. So pretty cool stuff. Let's go
it does.
to the next play here. Oh, yeah, a little fire.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, so this is going to be our Trayvon Wesco play here.
Yeah.
And we've actually had more conversation about him, I think, as a fan base than I was initially expecting, maybe around like draft time or, that early off-season part. But, it's been kind of a pleasant surprise with him, especially on this play, because he showed the physicality. I remember, sorry, I don't mean to drag this out too much, but
no, you're good.
Again, against the Giants, there was one play he got the ball in the flat on 3rd down, and he was one-on-one against a corner and, a violent runner. And no one's going to want to get really in his way, especially when you're talking about the defensive backs. And so what they're going to do here, Crowder motioned over from the boundary to the field. And you can notice there, which Mike LaFleur is doing an excellent job of, is all of the, even though it's preseason, he's helping Zach. He's not giving any vanilla looks. This isn't Jacksonville on Monday night. He's giving a whole bunch of, I guess the pre-snap dressings and everything to help Zach identify. And so this was actually, the motion, and nobody followed Jamison Crowder, right? Everybody just stayed the same, like he didn't even move. So that's gonna give you an indication of a zone coverage. And whether or not it actually turns out that way, it's extremely hard to tell because essentially nobody's on the screen at one point. Here, we just kind of have linemen because of the play action. And obviously, Zach looked downfield. And I'm assuming we had 2 vertical routes, Crowder and I think that might be Jeff Smith, if I'm not mistaken. It might be Jeff Smith. I don't think that's Corey Davis because of the arm sleeve there. But
Corey.
No, it doesn't look like Corey. I know we have Chris Herndon at the bottom of the screen, but the play action draws up the linebackers, and 42 there, it looked like actually Trayvon Wesco was his responsibility, whether it was in the flat or if it turned out to be man coverage. Trayvon Wesco was his guy. But Trayvon Wesco, kind of an underrated piece here, is he kind of, after the play action, he made it look like he was going to block 42.
Yes.
And they kind of collide here. I don't know if that part was planned, but once they collide, 42's got in his mind play action, the fullback's coming up, likely a run, and he just doesn't process it fast enough, and Trayvon Wesco gets outside. Zach, obviously, the big part there is he didn't take whatever was downfield because he didn't think it was open. And again, hit your check down, and it's a big gain. You don't know what you're going to get if you just throw that little dump off, and it turned out to be, I think, maybe 16 yards.
Yep, I think 17, yep.
16, 17. And so we're seeing Zach able to process what he's seeing downfield, and he's speaking, he's playing, his actions are reflecting his words in these press conferences that he has. I'll take the risk when it's, when it's appropriate. There's balance. Take what you can give, take what you get sometimes. And he's kind of showing that because here on that play and the throw to Tevin Coleman, he's not taking the unnecessary risk throwing it downfield or throwing it to a defensive end that drops back in the lane of Corey Davis on the stick route. He's taking those flats and they're moving the chains a little bit here.
Yeah. And I'll just throw in, and Chad, I'll let you comment on a couple of things. Just Frankie had thrown in the chat, I think it was a week ago or so, talking about how Wesco is going to be a weapon in this offense. And I think that he's proven in the preseason that I think that he needs to be at least accounted for. You can't just leave him wide open. And that alone is, valuable, I would say. He's not an all-world athlete or anything like that, but he's been able to make a couple of plays. And I think this is where he'll be his strongest, is off play action in those flat routes. I think he can do that, pretty consistently. Chad, anything you want to throw in there as we've gone through this a couple of plays now?
No, I mean, just sitting here thinking about Wesco, would you consider him like a fullback hybrid at this point?
I think he's almost, at this point, I think he's penciled in as a fullback. I know that initially we kind of drafted him as the H-back tight end kind of guy, but I think it's pretty obvious how they're using him. He's going to be the fullback, but James, I'll defer to you. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's going to be fullback, and then if something terrible happens, maybe he gets some reps at the tight end spot. But you can probably really move him anywhere he wants. But I think his designation is going to be fullback. In the offseason, it seemed like they were looking to maybe bring a fullback into this offense because of what Kyle Juszczyk does in San Francisco. And I think they were able to say, okay, I think he's a big dude. He's physical. Maybe we can get him to block, but also get his hands on the football in the flat and end up one-on-one with some defensive backs here and there. And I think he ultimately maybe even ends up as a mismatch against some of these linebackers as well. So I do think his designation will be the fullback spot.
There you go. All right, we'll go to the next play. I'll run it, and then I'll let you comment on it. Nothing too crazy here.
No.
Just incomplete pass. Somebody was joking earlier in the chat. I think it was Franz. He's like, we're watching a 2-yard pass. What are we doing? It's like just analyzing the all of the passes from him. I noted that on this play.
Yeah, no, I would have the same. I thought it was inside. I thought maybe a tad late, and I ultimately think too. I think inside is being nitpicky, even though it's a good point. And I think, too, it's just a victim of really good defense by, I think that's Eric Stokes, who's a rookie for them. So you're going to get those plays where sometimes it's just, okay, that little minor detail kind of threw it off, but there was good defense on the play, and you chalk that up and you kind of move on.
Yep. Don't worry. It's okay. You're not Mike. You don't offend me when you disagree with me. It's only Mike that pisses me off when he disagrees. Vern said, like, I'd like to see Corey try to hand catch that. That's a fair take. Maybe put the hands up a little bit. No big deal, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Eddie Hunt, Wesco on the goal line at some point. Yeah, I would say so. I think they'll definitely throw the ball to him. And maybe even handoff. You never know. I think as a fullback, he could definitely get some carries this year. Nothing too crazy, though. All right, here we go. We'll go to the next play here because this is just an incompletion. Nothing too exciting.
Yeah, and I think these two here are the screen. The next two are screens.
Sorry. Grant really just gets it. He just gets it. He's like the little brother that just gets on your nerves. Stupid Mike. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's good. Yeah, these next two are going to be the screens. This one's the Corey Davis who makes a great move. If you want to run this one at least, I mean, this one is just, your wide receiver screen. I don't know if they checked into it because of the look. Kind of the snap there. It's one-on-one Davis and the cornerback. You just flick it out there to him, and hopefully he gets some yards. I like these plays in those kind of situations because to me, it's just an extension of the run game.
Yes.
What would happen if you just handed the ball off? What would you get? I don't know, maybe 3 to 4 yards. Maybe something big opens up. But hey, listen, if you can get Corey Davis one-on-one, Zach has that ability to just kind of, quick release out there. So he gives Corey Davis enough time to make this move coming against the wide receiver who's going to drive up on the football. And I really like it in terms of, hey, if they get this look where we have two inside linebackers, we have the D end at the end of the line of scrimmage there. We just got one-on-one with Corey Davis. Give him the ball, let him try to make a move, gain 3-4 yards, maybe it's more. But it's just an extension of the run game, essentially.
Well, and Chad, I'll give you a moment. This is 10 yards. I mean, he is back 10 yards from Davis, so that's a very, very generous, difference in separation there pre-snap. So real quick, this was actually my favorite Corey Davis play, and said it perfectly. It's an extension of the running game. I think Corey Davis is a little bit better after the catch than maybe people realize. The first man miss, I love that. And again, I think that just seeing these types of plays where there's going to be, it's not going to just be the play that was called, ran, we're going to see things on the field and actually, make some counter punches, which I kind of like. And again, it's just an easy throw. This is an easy play for a rookie quarterback. I want to see this kind of stuff during the regular season. Chad, what's your thought?
I mean, I love the physicality, and I'm really curious to see the juxtaposition between Corey Davis and Elijah Moore in space when they get the ball. I mean, we've seen a little bit from Corey Davis, and it's awesome. I really want to see how Elijah Moore looks when he gets in space.
Oh, yes. It is going to be awesome. I have very, very high expectations for Elijah. Oh. All right. We'll go to the next play. I'll just let this play one more time. Whoop! Look at him go. He's stumbling and bumbling. All right.
Nice stiff arm too there at the end.
We'll run.
All right, cool. And yeah, this one is more of a design screen because you could see a designed wide receiver slot screen, which means we're essentially just we're throwing a screen pass here to the slot wide receiver who's the number 2. That's Jeff Smith. Chad, this would probably, in my estimation, be Elijah Moore when he's healthy. This is going to be, the kind of thing that we're going to do for him, get him the ball out quick to the screen, and then have, Mekhi Becton and the guys, kind of help here. Mekhi Becton flattens this, that linebacker there. Yep. Not a whole lot of guys are going to want to face that guy, especially when you get to the second level. Elijah Moore here. We can picture him. Jeff Smith, good guy, but Elijah Moore is going to be kind of take that spot. Ultimately, Zach just does a good job here. He just gets the ball out like he's supposed to. Nothing extraordinary, nothing special, nothing to glamour over. But ultimately, play calling wise, Mike LaFleur is really kind of showing that we're going to be multifaceted here. You just threw the screen pass to Corey Davis on the play before, and now we're going to design something because that ultimately worked pretty well as kind of also there. So Mike LaFleur doing a good job of setting Zach up with some comfort here.
Chad, anything you want to say? I know it's a simple play. I actually have a couple of comments as well, though.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say the ball was placed again in front of him. I know it's only a couple of yards away, but again, something that I feel like has been missing on wide receiver screens because they haven't really worked for the Jets the last few years. And it's a lot to do with ball placement. The ball is put exactly where it needed to be. Ball is out in front. It looks exactly like the Tevin Coleman play. The ball is out. He's extending for it with his arms. Small thing, but it's a big, big deal to be able to get going and not waste time trying to adjust to the ball. And actually, Wesco, I like what I saw here. If you watch him from the snap, he kind of sets his feet and anchors himself and gets ready right here. And then puts the hit on him, which I thought was very cool to see from Wesco. I know that everybody watched Becton on that one, but I was kind of impressed with what I saw with Wesco. They're kind of leading the charge because he was the first blocker out, and then bam. Without that block, that's going nowhere. So.
Oh, no.
Yep. All right, cool. We'll move along here. And here is this is not the play that everybody.
Everyone's sitting waiting for that.
Yeah, everybody's waiting for it. Yep.
We're almost there.
Play action. Let's see here.
Yeah, this one's a play action. And this is going to be, this one's the one in the dirt. Concept wise, I'll be quick. It's just a flood concept. Flood concept is we're just going to have guys, Zach is going to play action and roll out, and we're just going to have guys flowing or flooding to that side of the field so that Zach can essentially read high-low. But ultimately here, he throws it to Corey Davis, which, right decision. Corey Davis would have got something. Jeff Smith was kind of open there as well. But listen, you get the ball out quick. They have chemistry going good. So really, I think what happened here for Zach, you can see he's kind of punching air a little bit there. Because believe it or not, it's for right-handed quarterbacks, sometimes it's harder to throw when you're rolling to the right than when you're throwing to the left. That might sound ridiculous and crazy, but if you think about it, if you ask yourself, what's more comfortable, throwing to the right or throwing to the left? As a right-handed thrower, it's going to be throwing to the right. So when you're more comfortable, what are you more likely to do? Maybe get a little bit lax in your mechanics. And there, Zach is kind of still shoulder square to the sideline. He's fading away a little bit. He's kind of just like, oh, there's Corey Davis. I'm just going to kind of throw it out to him. And the ball just sinks on him. You can see he's still kind of square to the sideline, and he just kind of sees him and he just kind of throws it there. So usually if you're a little bit more emphasis on the mechanics, you would have saw him get his shoulder square to Corey Davis, the shoulder square to the line of scrimmage, then point the front left shoulder to Corey Davis and let it go. But sometimes when you're rolling to the right, you could just get a little bit lackadaisical in your mechanics because it feels more natural.
Cool. I won't comment on any of that. You did a great job with that one. Just real quick, there's a couple of comments. Ronald ATN, lifelong Jets fan. This has got to be the first time that I actually think that Zach Wilson will be a star in this league. I felt pretty good about Sam Darnold after his rookie season. I thought that he was on his way. We'll see, man. I'm not comparing the two situations, but long way to go. But I'm with you. This feels very, very good. And he just feels like the talent feels different than anything I've seen with the Jets. So we got a comment from somebody on a Jets message board just saying, love from the gangrene. I appreciate you. Thank you, Brooke. And that's it. We'll go to the next play. If it'll ever end. Oh, that's right. I wanted to catch him laughing. That's why I kept going. All right, we're on to the next play. I'll run it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pressure. This is one of my favorites. Bam.
Yeah, I think I saw this one from you on Twitter that you were excited about this play.
Yes, he showed it in the Giants game, but the fact that he's now done it 2 weeks in a row, everybody talked about how he didn't face pressure at BYU, so of course he can't throw against pressure. Guys,
Who do we know who 61 is? Is that? It's not Feeney. I think Feeney's 67.
I don't know. Chad, do you mind doing a little investigation? He got beat like a drum, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, that was James Murray.
Oh,
okay. There you go.
So I think we had a question about him today. Maybe I spoke too highly.
My dad calls that an Olay move, kind of like the bull. Olay. Just let him go, man. Just let him go. You're good. You're good. Go ahead. Sorry, man.
Oh yeah, sorry. No, it's good. So this one was a staple for Zach at BYU, and I do remember when we broke down some Zach Wilson BYU film on here. I made a comment that I'm hoping to see the mesh concept. And I assumed I would because it's kind of all over football. It's not like a BYU specific thing. It's a very common concept throughout all of football. But Zach ran it and did it so well at BYU that I was hoping, all right, rookie year, get him some of those concepts. There's 1,000 different ways you can run it. And so really what the X's and O's aspect of it from, who's running what is Tevin Coleman. I believe that's Tevin Coleman in the backfield. He's going to have basically a swing route, vertical route out of the backfield. And then we're going to have 2 drags coming across, one from Corey Davis on the right coming over to the left, and the other Jeff Smith coming from the left over to the right. And then Crowder has the dig. And so how Zach is going to read it is if Tevin Coleman's open, going vertical down the left side of the field, what you'll do is you'll hit him. That'll be the first read. You can kind of see he's looking left. That linebacker plays it really nice. He takes that over. And then then Zach comes across the middle of the field, and he might be actually looking at Crowder for the number 2 on the dig. But with the pressure, it looks like he's immediately trying to find one of his drag routes. And the Packers defense gets all messed up. That linebacker there, I believe, or the defensive back 48 that's trailing Jeff Smith. My thought is he probably drifted back.
Yes.
He drifted back. Yeah. He drifted back and was like, all right, I know this guy's coming in my face, but let me buy myself some extra time. And then, he has this ability to make this throw all day long. Yeah. And so, yeah, great job by Zach. Great feel in the pocket. He didn't stay just, feet in cement. He didn't try to run and do all this crazy stuff. He just bought himself for more time for a route that he knew was about to come wide open. And 3rd and 2, nonetheless, again, 3rd down. And it's a big game by Corey Davis. So this was one of the more impressive plays by Zach. I know we're going to get to the next one. But this one, in terms of buying time for his route to get open, was one of the more impressive plays of the day.
Agreed.
Did he take a shot there from 96? I couldn't see the angle moves away.
Didn't take a shot, no. But definitely pressure, though, for sure. I think that's the idea. It doesn't always have to be.
I go to Herndon, not open, so he rolls out. And, I mean, that throw shouldn't look that easy. Like, it looks like anybody could just do it, almost. But understanding the difficulty in the same sense, it's just like, how did he make something like that, 35 yards essentially across the field on the run? Just a simple flick of the wrist, and it's right on the sideline for Corey Davis. I mean, there's not much to say there. It's just, that's one of the special talents that the kid has. It's the ability to make those throws look easy. Is pretty cool for us to watch.
And then again, the flip of the ball with Corey Davis, he does it on everything. Doesn't matter what the play is. He might even do that on incomplete passes. I'm not even sure. So we do have the touchdowns, actually. Yes, 35 yards of arm strength. It was all arm on that one. And, yeah, man. I mean, it was just an exciting play when I watched it live.
Yep.
I found this out. after the game, apparently that play action where they were kind of drifting left was a miscue. I don't know if you read that.
Yeah, I thought I saw that too. Like maybe the running back went in the wrong place, or is that what you saw too?
Say that one more time.
Was it the running back was in the wrong spot? Is
It,
that what you saw too?
I don't even know. I just remember reading that there was a miscue with the play action. I don't know if it was the running
Yeah.
back or both of them. I think Zach had brought it up in his press conference after the game.
Oh, okay.
I liked it, actually. I thought it was kind of cool that they were kind of drifting left. I don't know. If they didn't mean to do it, hopefully they consider doing it again. I'd love to watch
Yeah,
it.
right.
Grant Rude, you're right. And actually, maybe we'll take a break here because this is interesting. The NFL is doing some things that I just can't understand for the life of me. And Chad, I'll let you talk for a minute. James needs a break. What is going on with this taunting bullshit? Did you see some of the flags that they've thrown over this weekend?
Yeah, you know what? It's one of those initiatives that I guess we don't really understand at the time. To me, it's the same thing as cracking down on the end zone celebrations and things like that. But before you know it, it'll be a regular occurrence, and we won't be thinking about it anymore. There's got to be something that they're seeing that. I mean, when you think about it, they're trying to have a broad appeal, right? So they want to appeal to older demographics. They want to appeal to more, I guess, everybody, liberal, conservative, whatever you want to say. And a lot of people are still old school. They don't like that brand of showmanship, if you will. And Roger Goodell and the league are trying to cut down on it. So I'm not personally a fan on it. I like it. I think it's part of the atmosphere. It's part of the fun. But I can also kind of understand where they're going with it.
And this is a good point by Frankie. He's saying you can celebrate, just don't denigrate, which means don't be so like rub it in somebody's face, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the question, because like where do you draw that line? I mean, for whatever reason, this sticks out to me. Remember, oh God, Decker used to do that. He would get like a 7-yard. I mean, and he had that one great season, but then he would do that. He would hold the ball out and then drop it.
That's
And
that's Antonio Holmes, actually.
Well, what was it that Decker did? Because I remember he got a penalty because he did that same move. He drops the ball right in front of 2 defenders, and then he got a unsportsmanlike, or he got a flag for it. And so the question is, like, I mean, I guess the larger point is, I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt the team. So if stuff like that, ultimately is going to result in, unnecessary penalties, then, unfortunately, you have to stop.
I mean, so it's funny. Like Gitmo Bob is kind of, maybe I'm reading this wrong, but he kind of thinks that it's the right move. I just think that like plays like we saw in the Super Bowl with was it Winfield? Not or is it Winfield? I can't remember. But anyway,
Yep, and Antoine Winfield. Yep.
Antoine Winfield, son of a former player. He got in Tyreek Hill's face, threw the deuce sign at him because that's Tyreek Hill's thing. But he literally went up right into his face after they had just lost the Super Bowl and threw a peace sign right in his face. That, to me, when I watched it, I was like, okay, that's a little excessive. To me personally, I was like, damn, dude, like, I don't know. That to me,
and I guess so. Then here comes the question, which is, do you want referees in the moment having to decide what is and is not considered excessive, or do you just want a blanket rule that says, you know what, no, none of this anymore, focus on the game?
Maybe that's what they're saying. Maybe they're saying, you know what, we can't make judgment calls, so anything that appears to be disrespectful is a flag. To me, it's just too much. I think they need to rein it way back. They're being way too tight. The guy that I saw for the Colts, he got up after running for a first down, flexed, and like shouted, and then that was it. I like got him the flag, and I don't understand it.
Like the old Curtis Martin type of flex.
Yeah, I mean, kinda. Yeah, I mean, he just was hyped up. It's
You know what? I don't know where it's gonna go, but you know what? It kind of remember the force out rule, where
yes, I force out.
because we got caught on that a couple times. So it got to the point where they were like, well, if he would have caught it, but he jumped, but then he got forced out, are we going to call that a completion? And then 1 year, like in the mid 2000s or whatever, they were just like, you know what, forget it. We're not. You got to have 2 feet down, and that's it, or you're done, because there's just too much scrutiny during the game. It's kind of like that, you know.
Well, I'll say this. I will give respect to anybody in the chat who disagrees, because there are a couple of people, actually. So maybe I need to open my mindset just a little bit, because I find it to be too much. But there are people in our chat right now that don't want to see it. So it's very interesting. It's clearly polarizing, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I mean, we, as fans of this team, we haven't had a ton of guys. I mean, we did have the Santonio Holmes, and yeah, I mean, there were moments when that point ball drop thing was, and we losing, and he was doing the point ball drop thing. Like, stop, dude, stop it. Like, it's embarrassing, you know.
Yeah.
But then when it's with the other team, I mean, I remember a few years ago, Cam Newton came. They played us at home, and he did that stupid
the Super
thing. And then how can we forget? Oh God, I hate the Aaron Rodgers belt thing. Like if it's on your team, you probably love it, but if it's not, you probably hate it. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. It's like, do I want to give the opposing team more bulletin board material? You know?
I hear you. It's very interesting. This might be one that we need to talk about prior to the season starting, because there's a lot of people commenting on this. I'm kind of glad we brought it up. HexJet, I'll read your comment. I don't recognize you in the chat. It's good to see you here. He says the ref might as well the other player where the celebration hurt them and whip out a billings chart. A+ comment for the night. You win the night, sir. Well done. And so Gitmo Bob, I'll read yours. That'll be the last one. He says, I've seen Pee Wee football players taunting opponents. Where do you think they learned that from? So this is very interesting. I like it. I like the fact that there's disagreement. I think you guys come to know that. That's part of why I enjoy doing this. So, all right, we will do a touchdown throw, not the second touchdown pass. We'll do the first touchdown pass, and then we're going to move on, because we didn't hit any of our topics tonight. So last play of the game we'll watch, and then we'll move on. Empty set here, so I'll let it run. Oh, God. This is my second favorite play probably from the game. I'm looking right. Nope, looking left. Bam. Back shoulder. It's too beautiful. James, you got any comments on this touchdown? Oh, James is frozen.
He's speechless. Absolutely speechless.
He is blown away by this so much that he is frozen in time. All right. James is so dead from this that we will move on. And let me try to call him back, maybe. That might be the move here. Can I even... Oh, I can't kick him. Oh, I can remove him from the call. There we go. Bye, James.
While we're waiting, I will say I haven't seen a Jets quarterback with a good, I guess you would call it a look-off skill like that in a long time.
Yeah, dude.
And then on top of that, if we do have anything in this tight end, I we mentioned this the other day, but if there was any tight end that was going to stand out on this roster, I would not have expected it to be Croft. So, color me pleasantly surprised with this one.
Yeah. And our Sunday show is very popular right now. A ton of people are enjoying that. So again, if you guys have not tuned in for the Sunday night post-game show, consider doing so. We will be live again Sunday night, and during the season, it's going to be every single Sunday. Gitmo Bob, I thought the exact same thing. Green Bean and James, they're sharing the same internet. Pretty funny. It's funny that is always where our minds go when somebody freezes in a online stream. All right, we'll move on. I do want to get to our previous scene here. So here we go. James, you're back.
I'm back. Sorry, guys.
It was pretty funny, actually. I asked you what you thought of the touchdown pass, and you were just frozen. So we said that you were stunned by the beauty of the touchdown pass.
Not false. Not false.
Yeah, it was a good one. All right, we're gonna wrap the show up in about 30 minutes. So I want to get to some of these topics at least before we end the night. Thank you, James, for breaking those down for us.
Of course.
To some of the injury concerns, because there are some. We'll briefly talk on this one. The most notable ones, as we all know, Vinny Curry, Carl Lawson, Jared Davis, and we also lost Connor McDermott. We don't know how long he's out. We still haven't heard anything, which is kind of weird because he was carted off the field. Just want to know, not necessarily the individual players, just what you foresee potentially being the impact on the team. We'll go to Chad and then James. You don't have to talk on all of them if you want. You want to just hit one of them, you can do whatever you want. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's changed the scope of the 2021 season, especially now when Jared Davis on top of following Carl Lawson. I mean, honestly, that put me in. Normally I go through a post-game depression where I just go and I go to sleep and I turn everything off. And that's how I felt after that win, because that Jared Davis injury didn't look good. And again, now he's going to be out until the bye week, which I think is somewhere around week 6 or week 7, something like that. So I don't know what to say. It's and I always go back and say, woe is me. This team is, we're cursed with injuries. But again, I mean, look what happened to Travis Etienne down in Jacksonville. I mean, injuries are a major part of the game, and it sucks. But I wish that we could just have a healthier season. And I don't know what they need to do. Is it just come down to luck? What is it? What do they need to do to make it happen? It sucks. Frustrating.
Yep. James, any thoughts on potential impact? It could be any player or all of them, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote down a list to get ready for it, and I wrote down Carl Lawson's name twice, and it was not on purpose. It's hard to get past that one. Not only just because being the big free agent signing, finally getting that edge rusher, but it's also just the injury that he actually, the torn Achilles. It's just a really tough injury, and the whole situation was just really difficult, I think, for Jeff. And Chad kind of hit it on the nose. It just feels like, here we go again. What else is going to happen to us? But yeah, I think the Lawson one, it sends ripple effects a little bit, because now Vinny Curry's out. You lose a little bit of depth there. And I guess the hopeful silver lining is that there's somebody on this roster that, kind of takes it and runs, with their opportunity. And we find out we have a player, maybe Josh Huff, maybe not right off the bat. Bryce Huff, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Bryce Huff just kind of, maybe not right off the bat, but over time, over his second year in the NFL, he just really blossoms into, a pass rusher that he wasn't in college. And so that's the hope. But I do think the Lawson injury is the biggest one, and I think it's going to affect the back end of the defense, the secondary, and maybe even a little bit of the linebacker group.
Yeah. I think we were all kind of hoping that Bryce Huff, again, it doesn't really matter because it's preseason, but we were all kind of hoping that show something versus the Packers. And I don't think he registered a single stat in the game. I think he was actually 0 across the board. I'm not going to sit here and hate on Bryce Huff, but that's where the biggest impact is, in my opinion. Now we lost Vinny Curry. That's pretty new. I think that was announced just this morning, right, or today. Losing him, it hurts. We have essentially just undrafted free agents at defensive end right now. We have Hamilka Rashid Jr. We have Bryce Huff, again, who could, he was showing things last season that led you to believe that he could take a step forward this season. I just don't know if he's prepared to do this on a down-to-down basis, and that right now is what we're looking at. Bryce Huff playing pretty much, a lot of third downs, and he's going to be playing on second downs. And some people are saying in the chat, he's probably at best a situational pass rusher. They're saying that, he might be too small to hold up versus the run. So there's definitely some concern there. And that's kind of where it bleeds into the rest of the defense, because I am of the same belief that Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh have. The lines dictate your ability to do anything offensively and defensively. And so if they're not getting to the passer fast enough, we'd still have pass rushers, but I just worry that we will now suffer in the back end. So our young linebackers, how are we going to hold up week 1 versus Christian McCaffrey? Not necessarily in the running game. I'm thinking more so in the passing game. He is a freakazoid in the passing game. Christian McCaffrey is a freak. I think he had a game 14 catches or something, 13, 14 catches at one point. He is a receiver that can play running back. He's a running back that can play receiver. So that's going to be really difficult on our defense week 1. I'm thinking right off the bat, that's the biggest impact. I think we could get picked apart with those types of route concepts going at our young linebackers. So to me, that's where the concern mostly is. I don't want to look too far forward because it is a week-to-week thing, but that's where my mindset went right away when Vinny Curry's out, Carl Lawson. If the pass rush doesn't get in Darnold's face, it could be a long game defensively. So,
and then, as far as it's hard for us to find silver linings. I have 2. If we don't have to look at this in a totally negative light. For one thing, the young guys, and even at the linebacker position, the young guys are going to get a good year of experience because no matter how you look at it, the young guys are going to have to step up. And yeah, there's going to be some times where they get burnt badly, but they're going to get some experience that you just can't replicate elsewhere. The other silver lining, and I understand this is a stretch, but if you look at Mosley now, and we've seen Mosley for just a little bit in 2 games, and he does look really, really good. Obviously, on the 12th of September, we're going to get to see him in a full game. But you got to wonder, did he save his body by being out in 2020? So if Carl Lawson, and I know that's a big asterisk here, but if Carl Lawson comes back to form in 2022 and we make the right moves in the offseason, and now the defense is looking good and Zach Wilson is who we expect him to be, could this be a good thing going into 22 with a fresh Carl Lawson who's ready to go? And now we're actually might be making some noise in 2022. So if you want to think long-term silver lining, that's kind of where I come from.
Okay. We'll move on. Thank you for throwing that in there. So the next one is risers and fallers. We've done this for the last 2 or 3 episodes, and probably this will be the final time because we're going to be cutting down the roster. So as far as I understand, it happens on the 31st, right? That's when it's due by. So
that's the final, yeah.
So our next show, we're going to be analyzing the final roster, which is kind of cool. Risers and fallers, guys that, not just based on the Green Bay game. It could be both games, could be training camp reports, just anybody that you see on the upswing, downswing. Who wants to go first? I feel like I'm trying to go back and forth. I can't never remember who went first last.
Chad, you want to go?
Well, Matt Amendola is my riser right now. I'm hoping really just to see. I like to see another handful of kicks out of him in the Eagles game, and then I'm just kind of crossing my fingers, hoping that this is the guy, that we actually found our guy. I don't want to be in week 2, 3, or 4 bringing in free agent kickers for tryouts and stuff like that. And then really, almost all of the secondary is unfortunately the fallers right now, because I just don't. There's not a lot to like out of the secondary, and again, it's not totally expected, but I think somebody mentioned Lamar Jackson. I mean, if he gets cut, I don't think it's totally unexpected.
Okay, James, any risers and fallers?
Yeah, Tyler Kroft, a little bit of a riser because, I mean, I don't think really any of us were happy with the tight ends after the Giants game. And then I thought Kroft had 2 touchdowns, which was great. But, you kind of look more so the first touchdown, he was able to kind of hold on to the ball with the contact. And obviously Zach was comfortable with him. And, even Herndon a couple times, he kind of showed in the ability to block passing game wise. So I thought it was good, but Kroft kind of gets my edge there. Maybe we do have, a tight end that, not super featured, but someone that we can at least rely on to get the ball to here and there. And then my faller was Isaiah Dunn. I think he got picked on just a little bit in the Green Bay game. And when I say a little bit, I mean a lot. And didn't show out too well for him, but rookie, undrafted free agent. So every opportunity he can get, he needs to take advantage of. And I thought his game against the Packers, he just let up one too many catches.
There you go. He was one of mine. One of those guys reported early that was doing well, impressing, and he's gotten quiet and fallen off. Big thank you to Hex Jet for sharing his risers and fallers. He said his risers were Sherwood, Kroft, and Brandon Eccles, and his fallers were Herndon, Yeboah, and Lamar Jackson. So I so there's somebody upset because we were talking negatively, so it's just funny.
I just literally said that the Carl Lawson season-ending Achilles injury might somehow be a positive thing.
Yeah.
And yet that's negative speculation.
It's okay. We're going to be always in the middle. We're never going to be too positive or too negative. That's the show.
Hey, wait, do you think that's negative? When do you see me during a game?
Yeah.
I'm throwing shit in the first quarter. People have walked
watch. No hate towards you, old dude. That's his name. I'm not actually calling him an old dude. No offense taken, old dude. Hope you stick around. We're not all negativity, my man.
I'm sorry. Speaking of Echo, and I don't even know this, and I've been too busy, but I saw the thing where he landed awkwardly yesterday.
Who is that?
Eccles, Brandon Eccles. Is he good?
The injury reporting has been slow, I feel like, lately. We haven't heard anything, I don't think.
I think it's indicative of the way that Salah is running things. I mean, again, AVT was day to day, for like 3 weeks.
Hex Jet said he practiced. I don't know. I'm not. Oh, okay. And then Franz is confirming that as well. So there you go. I appreciate that, Eddie. I would appreciate you guys to hit the like button as well. So if you haven't, do that right now. I appreciate that. It supports the channel. My risers are Wesco. I've loved what I've seen from Wesco. I love the idea that we're going to be in some I formation and some formations that allow the fullback to be involved. Braden, man, he's my boy. I correct me.
You're going to get a Braden Man jersey, aren't
you? I
think
I might. So he has, I believe it's 7 punts, and 5 of them were pinned inside the 20. That's freaking great. And his net average is decent. I'm signing up on that all day long. If this kid can do that going forward, and he's young. Punters last a long time in the National Football League. If he is going to take these next steps, hell yeah. I want a good punter, man. It's been so long. Our punting game has sucked. Frankie just said, I'm sorry, but they don't sell Braden Mann jerseys. Anyway, he's a huge riser for me. Greg Van Roten, I think, has been pretty good in the preseason. Nothing too bad. A lot of criticism came his way after last year. I think he's doing pretty good. JT Hassel, the safety. We need some safeties with Ashton Davis not playing until week 2. LaMarcus Joyner hasn't been doing a whole lot. He's been injured. So he had a 5-tackle game, sack, forced fumble in the last one. That's great. We need somebody to step up. Fallers, for me, might be a little surprising. I do have Jason Panak on my list. He's just been quiet. Nothing bad, just nothing really good either. I haven't really seen a whole lot from him. Bryce Huff didn't really get involved this past week. He can definitely get back up. He can rise again. It's not a big deal. I'm still a believer in him taking a step forward this year. And then Isaiah Dunn was already mentioned, and Dan Feeney. I wasn't expecting him to be any good, but he's worse somehow than I expected. So he is a faller for me. And he's probably going to make the team. Somebody pointed out he's due $3 million guaranteed this year. So not great. Yeah, he has not been present. I haven't seen a whole lot of Jason Panak. Again, not a bad thing because he's a cornerback. So if he's quiet, it's not always bad. But at the same time, though, he's not really doing a whole lot either. So
yeah, I think Brandon Eccles has kind of taken that spot as probably the most impressive rookie in the secondary. Because we drafted quite a few of them. Panak, Michael Carter II, I think, is also in that category. But in terms of like an outside corner, I think Brandon Eccles kind of is taking the cake in terms of the most impressive right now.
All right. So we're going to end the night with, we'll try to do it quickly. And chat, I'd like you guys to be involved. So when I throw this out there, get right to the comments and I will read what you say. So we're wondering, at this point in the season, we're wondering who's going to get cut. And we're not going to do every single player. We're not going to cut everybody, but maybe we'll talk a little bit about some guys that we don't think will be a part of the 53-man roster, position group by position group. And I want to hear what you guys have to say about wide receiver. So on the team, Vincent Smith, Jeff Smith, Elijah Moore, DJ Montgomery, Denzel Mims, Corey Davis, Jason Crowder, Keelan Cole, Lawrence Cager, Braxton Berrios. I actually am starting to wonder if Berrios, of all the people, might be the odd man out. And that maybe Vincent Smith takes that 6th wide receiver position. I don't know. It's interesting. James, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Berrios is that one that's like right. I think he's like right on the cusp there because, you got to figure probably DJ Montgomery is going to get cut. And then you have Lawrence Cager too. I think he's probably an odd man out. And then it's kind of the Smith brothers there, right? And Berrios at the same time, because I do think Jeff Smith and Vincent Smith, they both provide, kind of that quick passing game. But also, it's going to be between the 3 of them with special teams. I think that's what it's going to come down to for those guys. Berrios, I feel like, is pretty reliable in the punt return game. We just got rid of Corey Ballantyne, so he's not going to be returning kicks. And so it's going to be who can provide the most value in special teams. But I'm starting to agree, too, because, it felt like Berrios was the guy in, like, OTAs that everyone was so excited about because we heard about him so much. But, things are different when you kind of get the pads on and guys start to really get involved in the offense. And I think he might be one of those guys that he's on the cusp of potentially getting cut because Vincent Smith and Jeff Smith have actually played pretty well, I thought, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think maybe just Vincent Smith offers a little bit more. He could probably play some out on the outside. Excuse me. What do you think, Chad? Wide receiver wise, it's pretty clear, like the 5, but beyond that, I'm mostly wondering about that 6th guy.
Yeah, it would be surprising to see Berrios get cut, but because then I wonder who would be returning punts. But at the same time, it's also going to depend on. We've had this like underlying speculation for so long that they're going to try to move Crowder right before the season starts. So if something does happen to happen with Crowder, then you'd have to make an argument for keeping Berrios.
Oh, definitely.
So and I don't know. I mean, can Vincent Smith contribute on special teams? That's the question. I think we'll know. I don't know. We'll know more in a couple days, but it's hard to speculate right now.
Sure. And it does change if Crowder's gone. I mean, there's definitely no doubt about that. Tight ends. I have us keeping Wesco as the backup tight end, but he's going to be predominantly a fullback. Tyler Croft, definitely. Chris Herndon, I still think he's going to make the roster. Who you cutting? I think I'm honestly I'm of the belief that we will try to put Yeboah on the practice squad, and maybe he doesn't stick, but I don't see how he's making this team. Ryan Griffin and Daniel Brown, I also have as cuts. Griffin could be kept as the third tight end, but I'm gonna cut him just for the sake of the stream. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Frankie, tight end 3, but they might not want to keep 3. So what do you think, Chad? You go first this time.
The surprise there, I think, would be Herndon. I could see Herndon getting cut. And this is just I don't see obviously the practice tape and stuff, but just seeing the preseason production, hearing the reports about the drops in training camp, and then seeing sort of the elevation of Tyler Croft and Wesco, it's kind of like, well, the writing's on the wall for Herndon, maybe.
Definitely. James, what do you think tight end wise? What are we doing?
So definitely Croft. I do think Herndon's going to make the roster. And I don't know if they would cut him if he's not on the roster. Maybe it's a potential trade and you try to get some kind of assets because he's still on his rookie contract. Maybe there's a way, you flip him for a super late round pick. It'd probably be like a conditional 6th round pick or something like that. But maybe that's just kind of way there. But I do think if they don't decide to trade him, I do think he will be on the roster. I don't think he'll get cut. I think it's going to come down to what they decide to do with Daniel Brown and Ryan Griffin. Do they keep the third tight end, or is it because of all the running backs and everything, the wide receivers and stuff like that, they only go with Croft and Herndon, and then they know they have Wesco who could potentially maybe fill in as a third tight end. But yeah, Yeboah, I don't think he makes it, but again, he can end up on the practice squad. That's probably, I think, the most likely option.
Yeah, and a lot of people are echoing that in the chat. They're saying that they think he would probably stick. I know early on we were saying there was no way he would stick on the practice squad. I think he might. I think he could. Yeah. So you have to remember, it's not like a team takes from our practice squad and puts them on their practice squad. He's on the active roster as soon as you take him off the practice squad. So I just don't see a team really wanting him on the active roster. Just my take, though. Safety is kind of a boring one because we just have, some injuries right now. We will go to running back because I want to hear what you have to say, James. My opinion has changed, and I openly admit it. What do you think about running backs? How many are we keeping? Who are we keeping?
So I'm going to go with 4 running backs. I'm going to go with Coleman, Ty Johnson, LaMichael P. Ryan, and then obviously Michael Carter. Yep. I do think they keep 4 running backs. I think Josh Adams is going to be a cut. I do like him, but I just think they've kind of crowded this room a little bit. And I do think they keep 4. I mean, Coleman's the veteran, had some injury history the last couple of years, but you kind of maybe want him there in, obviously in the room. I don't think you're going to cut him, but, Ty Johnson, I think he's a perfect fit. You got to keep Ty Johnson. Obviously, he's going to make the roster. LaMichael P. Ryan, I just don't know if I think the thing is, does Joe Douglas cut a guy that he drafted in the 4th round last year?
Yeah, I don't think yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I just don't think so. And they've been giving him a good amount of work here, which I think has kind of been surprising to a lot of people. But maybe it's just because they had different plans and how many running backs they wanted to work in. And then obviously Michael Carter is going to make the roster. But I do think it's the Pirine one that I can't get over Joe Douglas cutting him just yet. And I think it's, Coleman's on a 1-year deal, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He's going to go. I don't know what Ty Johnson's contract looks like. And you still have LaMichael Pirine in his 2nd year on a rookie contract. I think it's an asset that you don't let go of yet.
And I will openly admit, I was pretty adamant that they would only keep 3. I thought that was the way they were going to go. But I think you're right. I think they're going to keep 4. Chad, I think we talked about it on Sunday. You agree with that, correct? Those 4 men?
Yeah. Now, since then, Pirine has a foot or ankle something, but I don't know how impactful it's going to be. If that turns out to be nothing, if he comes back from that real quick, then I could see. I would 100% agree with James' assessment.
Okay, great. And I do think that Coleman will lead the backs early in the season. I'm still kind of hoping, I'm holding out hope for Ty Johnson. He's my guy. I think that Coleman's going to get a lot of work early in the season. And Anthony Galeros agrees. Disagrees. He says Carter should start. Grant Rude, he never liked Yeboah, and he's saying, I would laugh so hard if he ended up on New England's roster. All right. We'll keep going. We talked about running backs. I think quarterback is kind of a boring one, too. We kind of feel like we know where that's going. Sorry. Linebacker's kind of boring as well. Let's talk D-line. There's a lot of bodies there. So we've got Sheldon Rankins, Jonathan Marshall, Jabari Zuniga, Quinnen Williams, Jeremiah Valaloga. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I apologize if I'm not. Tanzel Smart, Nathan Shepard, Hamilka Rashid Jr., Bryce Huff, Jonathan Franklin Myers, Foloronso Fatukasi, Ronald Blair. I mean, the names are endless, literally. Aaron Adeoye. I guess what I just want to know is how many are you keeping? You keeping 7? You keeping 8? What would you do here, James?
Yeah, you're probably going to want to keep. So you got 4 down. You got 4 down linemen, 4 down defensive linemen. Guys can kind of rotate and do things. I'm probably in that 10 mark.
Wow.
I don't know if that's high or not, but there was 2 names that you said in there that are for sure going to probably be cut. But I think the Lawson injury and obviously the Vinny Curry injury changes things. I mean, obviously you're going to have Quinnen Williams, you're going to have Bryce Huff, you're going to have John Franklin Myers, you're going to have Fatukasi, you're going to have Rankins. The guy who's interesting to me, I think the 2 guys that are interesting. What happens with Zuniga? He's another Joe Douglas 2020 draft pick. Mm-hmm. And then the other guy is, I don't know how to pronounce his first name, but his last name is Smart.
Yeah, Tanzel Smart.
Yeah, I thought he's been kind of pretty impressive. So I think that he's made it a tough decision to cut him as well. But yeah, I'm going maybe closer to that 10 mark. You get 2 deep across both, all 4 spots, and then you have a couple guys rotating in here and there that can do a couple different things.
Okay, cool. Chad, what do you think?
If they keep less than that, I could actually see Nathan Shepard being a surprise cut out of that list, and that's just really considering his age and production. They might like what they see out of some of those young guys more and want to give them a rotational opportunity.
Okay. And I think I had him being cut as well. Maybe he's one of those guys that they're looking because he plays D tackle and they really do need the edge. Maybe he's one of those guys that they're trying to offer to other people because they know how deep they are at the interior. Jonathan Strong, I've been seeing you comment about Michael Carter. I think everybody on this channel really likes Michael Carter quite a bit. And looked good against Green Bay. I thought he was very slippery and made some good plays after contact. So,
can we do a Carter film breakdown at some point?
you want to do that?
Yeah, sure.
Listen, man, James, let's go over that actually, because you will be on the next show, but then I think you're on a little bit of a sabbatical, right? You're out week 1 and week 2, correct?
I'm out week 1 and week 2. Yeah.
Yep. So and James, you are getting married, correct? So that's like why you're allowed to do that.
During
my wedding is on during the Carolina game in week 1.
You're gonna miss the game?
No, so I'm getting married at 5:00. So I have TV set up in a little suite in the basement of the venue to be able to watch at 1:00, and then it'll be over by the time I have to walk down the aisle with the wife. So
there you go. Well, congratulations. We will see you next week.
Thanks.
So we'll be able to lather you up with all kinds of good words of wisdom and everything.
Thank you.
That is going to do it for this episode 29 of the NYJ Today Wednesday podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you to both of you for being here tonight. Mike, if you're watching this, you're still a piece of trash. No, I'm just kidding. I love you very much. Hope you come back next Wednesday, Mikey boy. Thank you guys for watching. Go Jets. And see you after the cuts. Word from my daughter. Peace, guys. Have a great night.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Sorry. Nope. Delay. All right. Have a good night, guys.